So iFixit posted an article about a week ago about this touch IC disease, and they quoted me in that article. And since then, I've gotten quite a bit of hits on the website and via email, phone calls, and stuff like that, and for people wanting to fix their touch ICs on their iPhone 6 Plus and 6s. So, anyways, oh man, I've been swamped lately. Probably a little more busy than I want to be. I hate being too busy. I enjoy playing a lot more golf than I do fixing these things. But anyways, it is what it is, right? You start a business, and this is what you want. You want business. So, um, and anyways, I really do enjoy fixing these things. So most of the time, not this morning, when I had multiple problems on a simple Touch IC repair. Anyways, okay, so right here, I think 90% of the Touch IC problems are Mason related, so I haven't even been replacing Cumulus lately. Mason is the problem. And so anyways, this is an iPhone 6 Plus. It's been untouched, looks pretty clean, should be a simple repair. I've kind of changed my method a little bit. Kapton tape still. Disassemble Kapton tape and heat, 450 degrees Celsius, and I'll kind of walk you through what I've changed lately. All right. I still don't use flux when I take the chip off because I really don't think it's needed, and it just goos stuff up. So that's why I don't do it. And I'm still using my Hako tweezers, the little thin ones. I think it's like 5BSA or something like that. They're like $5 a pop, maybe $10 a pop or something like that. But they're nice and I kind of bent them out a little bit so that they can hold this chip now. But they're nice and thin. They're not super thin, but the tips are pretty thin and they're rigid. So 450 degrees Celsius. Just heat this puppy up. For me, it takes about a minute or so. And don't lift ever. Don't ever lift. And you really just want to turn the solder into liquid. Just barely. Because if you get it too hot, the stuff on the other side is gonna burn. Then you're gonna have other problems. Like your sound doesn't work, your proximity sensor doesn't work, something like that. So don't get it too hot. Like I said, it takes about a minute. If it takes a little bit longer than that, then you're probably not using enough heat. If it's a little shorter, then you're probably using too much heat. I think it's about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. I've never actually timed it, but so once it turns to liquid, you can kind of see it move a little bit. You want the whole thing to turn liquid before you actually lift. Okay. See now I can kind of move the whole chip, and boom, it's done. All right. So what I've been doing, let's see. So you kind of look around, right, and you kind of see where the oxidation is, and usually it's like a few of these leads, you can tell they're oxidized. This one's almost always oxidized, and that's usually what causes the problems. Like that one right there is a little bit oxidized, So basically, you want to use your flux, and I'm still using my No Clean MG Chemicals flux that I got from Amazon. I might change it up. I like tinkering with stuff, I like finding out what's best. But anyways, so you want to clean out all the oxidation, otherwise you're gonna have more problems later on. All right. This might be a little too much flux, so I'm just gonna sit tight here. And now I'm using my BC1 on the FM2027 Hako, and I'm just mixing the lead-free solder with the leaded solder, and if I see any oxidation, then I'm going to remove, like, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that right there is oxidized, right? You want to make like that is oxidized, and that's kind of what this right here, a little oxidized. So basically, you want to remove all the oxidation, and the flux helps that. So once you remove all the oxidation, then you can get a better solder joint, and so just make sure you have a nice little shiny joint, and the flux will definitely help you with oxidation, okay? Um, Alright, so I pulled one pad right there, which kind of rips all the time. Not sure if you can even see it or not, but you know what, let me clean this up first and I'll show you. But these days when I rip pads, they're usually NC pads, or it's this one, which seems to break quite frequently. Alright, so clean it up with some isopropyl alcohol and Q-tip. And so that's a rip pad right there. It's NC, not a big deal. This one rips often. If it rips, it rips. It's not a big deal. I mean, you just kind of run a jumper from here to here. Scrape that away, run a jumper from there to there. And usually you're pretty good. I use lead-free solder just so that it melts faster. And sometimes I'll reball it so that I'm not use a reballed chip instead. So you know what? I'm not gonna clean this today, and I'm just gonna make note of it. Hopefully it doesn't come back as a warranty, but I'm just gonna make note of it, and because I'm still trying to figure out what is best to prevent this from happening again. And I don't think anybody really has an answer. They have the future-proof shields and stuff like that. No one really has an answer for these things. I've removed screws, and that doesn't seem to help. So who knows? Who knows what the answer is here? The answer, it's a design flaw. So I mean, maybe there is an answer. And I'm gonna put all these links to all these chips on microsoldering.com soon. So you should be able to, because right now, it seems though I have all the chips on hand, which I do. I buy a lot of stuff from DigiKey. I have a lot of donor boards. Then I buy a lot of chips from AliExpress. Maybe like close to $1,000 worth of chips, just chips alone. So one thing that I've changed is I'm using Tachyflux now. I'm using Tachyflux below it because it's easier to clean. That's really the big thing. I find that the non-Tachyflux, it leaves a residue on there, and I don't know if it helps or if it hurts it or not. But I know Tachyflux cleans easily, so that's why I use it now. So I normally clean the pads, but I'm not gonna do it this time. All right. And so what you want to do is make sure it's aligned properly before you start heating it up. Okay. All right. So that's pretty aligned. And let's go to town on this puppy. Let's see if I can get a better brightness. There you go. All right. So 450 degrees Celsius again, and just kind of, there you go. And once it heats up, melts, it's gonna like go into place by itself, and that's when you know that like that is not great right there. And that's kind of why you want to clean the pads too, because the chip moves when the pads aren't even below it. And if you feel like there's, sometimes what I'll do too is if there's not enough flux below it, or I don't feel like there's enough flux below it, just put some flux on this, man. There you go. So it's tacky flux again. And then the flux will help the joints, you know, nice little solid joint there below it. So once it melts, you'll see the puppy shift into place a little bit. There you go. You see that? I don't know if you caught it or not, but it just snapped into place, okay? So what I normally do is, what you can do is just kind of nudge it a little bit on the corner. So back off from the heat a little bit, okay? Back off on the heat. Okay, so that's pretty much good, okay? I just want to make sure it's nice and heated. The entire chip is heated nicely before I let go, you know. So the second thing I've been doing is that up right there? Let's see. Nope. So the next thing I've been doing also is waiting for the chip to get cool down just a little bit before I apply some IPA, because sometimes I think maybe if the chip is still hot and the solder is still liquid, you know, you put IPA on it and it just rapidly cools it, you know, and I think it may cause some issues with the joint maybe, because I had like 2 or 3 returns, and you know, I'm just trying to find a better way to do it. So I'm just gonna wait a little bit here, respond to this email. And that's it, pretty much. So just kind of touch it, make sure it's cool. It's cool to the touch. All right. I mean, plenty of time for the chip to cool down and solder to form to become solid, and then IPA it. The tacky flux moves a lot easier than the other flux. So just be liberal with the IPA, okay? Because you know, you kind of want to remove as much flux as possible, and it's hard to, you can't do it from below the chip. So that is pretty much it for now. Let me see. I wish I can cut away without change cameras without pausing it, but I can't. So I'm gonna pause it real quick. All right, we're back. I have not turned it on yet. I'm gonna do it right in front just to make sure that I'm doing this right. So there we go. Always a good sign when you see the Apple logo. There we go. Alright, so let me do a test with the screen here. Maybe I'll try to do it in front of you guys. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Alright. So we are set here, okay? And so next thing I do, I just check all the features. Proximity sensor seems to die often, and I know what's wrong with that one. So, but I always check that, check Touch ID, check cameras. That's really about it, you know, because when you heat the chip, the chip is right here, all this stuff right here. So if you put a little too much heat to it, sometimes this puppy right here, this is the proximity sensor problem right there. I have that frequently. And then, let's see, I just had one where the backlight had a little issue, so I had to reflow this. And then pretty much anything here, you know, but usually I've had this a lot of times, this just once, twice. and then camera right here, LDO. Just reflow. That's a bitch though to reflow. So that's really about it. I mean, just understand that you're heating it here. So there you go. All right. So that's Touch IC repair. We are business here. If you want yours repaired, hit me up. All right. Peace.